Imagine you're at work and your phone buzzes. You get a text from your younger sibling that says, "School is in lockdown." Your stomach drops. Phones light up, the TV shows school lockdown across the screen, and no one really knows what to say. For many of us, that doesn't feel like a movie. It feels like something that could happen any day. And today, I want to talk to you about gun violence, not just as politics, but as a problem that we can treat like any other public health crises. I know that we all don't start from the same place. Some of you care deeply about gun rights, the Second Amendment, and responsible ownership. I'm not here to say take everyone's guns. I'm arguing we treat gun violence like a health problem we can reduce, similar to how we reduce drunk driving by improving systems and not blaming every driver or taking away every car. Others may already support more gun control, but feel exhausted, like nothing ever changes. A public health approach gives us more than pass one law and hope. It focuses on prevention, systems, and community action. I've grown up with lockdown drills and local stories of threats and shootings. This is not abstract or a personal experience. I care about safer communities and also respect gun ownership. I'm looking for balance and evidence. Using the CWI library, I read Merriam F. Williams on how gun control shows up in everyday paperwork, but also how it affects Black communities. And I also read a study by Yuko Sato and Jake Hazelwood on what happened to state gun laws after Parkland and the March for Our Lives protests. My thesis is we should treat gun violence as a public health crisis, combining smarter limits on who can get guns, stronger mental health support, and real community pressure for fair, effective policy. First, I want to talk about smart limits and what the background checks feel like to real people. Then, I want to explain how mental health support fits in without stereotyping everyone who struggles. Third, I'll show you how protests and public pressure, especially from young people, have already moved gun policy. Williams reminds us that policy isn't just about laws, it's what we experience, the forms we fill out, the databases our names go into, and all the people who run these systems. Picture standing at the gun store counter, filling out the federal background check form, and you write down your personal information that goes into the government systems. That's the moment where it becomes real. William used policies, rules, and sites. She explained that policy is what the rules say and what it's meant to do. The rules are who writes it, enforces it, and who must follow it, and sites, where you experience it. Typically, this would be at the counter or the online portal. And for many Black Americans, this is not a neutral experience. There are worries about privacy, racial bias in the databases, and filling out sensitive information in a space that might not feel respectful or safe. For a public health approach to work, people must trust safety systems. Smart limits have to reduce harm and also feel fair and transparent through clear language, honesty about why the data is collected, and regular checks for bias. If safety systems don't feel fair, we're already in trouble. We also have to look at what's happening long before someone reaches for a gun, and that's where the mental health comes in. After shootings, we often hear it's a mental health problem. But most people with mental illnesses are not violent. They're you, our classmates, our friends, our family. The real risk often comes when easy access to guns combines with someone in a serious, untreated crisis. A public health mindset needs to ask, how do we step in earlier? Better support could include more school counselors and trauma-informed after threats or drills. Crisis hotlines and walk-in centers that are easy to find and affordable, and basic training for adults on warning signs and how to connect to someone to help. Even small policy choices matter. Background check forms could include information about where to get help and avoid language that suggests mental illness equals dangerous person. That kind of messaging builds trust and makes people feel more willing to reach out when they're having problems. But even with a better system and support, laws don't change by themselves. People have to push them, and that's where the protests and the civic engagement comes in. After the 2018 Parkland shooting, March for Our Lives brought thousands of students and community members into the streets. Sato and Hazelwood were looked at all 50 states around this time. They tracked how the weekly state gun bills and how many marches happened in each state, separating gun control marches from gun right marches. They found that when more gun control marches were in a state, that state was more likely to act on gun control bills sooner. Well, the gun rights marches didn't really block any bills whatsoever. Public physical protests for gun safety helped push those lawmakers to put those issues on their agenda. Just like with smoking and drunk driving, changes come when regular people organize, tell their stories, and demand better rules. If gun violence is a public health issue, then the public, including us, has to step in and be the response. When you zoom out, gun violence isn't just about one shooter or one law. It's a system problem, and system problems need system-level answers. Today, I argue that we should treat gun violence as a public health crisis. First, we saw that smart limits, like background checks, only work when the paperwork and databases feel fair and respectful. Second, we talked about mental health support that steps in early without turning every diagnosis into a stereotype. And third, we saw that youth-led protests have helped push lawmakers to act on gun safety bills. So today I'm going to ask you for 3 small actions. First, before you leave today, I want you to look up one local or state group working on gun violence prevention and follow them. Second, save your legislators' contact information and send one short message this month about a gun safety policy that you support. And third, have one real conversation this week with a friend or family member or a coworker about gun violence as a public health issue, not just a political fight. Now, to go back to that moment at work when you're staring at your phone during the lockdown. This time, finally, a message comes through and it says, "Lockdown drill is over. Everyone is okay." You're still nervous, but things are different. The community has background check systems people see as fair, schools with counselors and real crisis plans to address this after the drill, and lawmakers who passed reforms after students and parents finally spoke out. The fear doesn't disappear, but there's more relief than panic, a sense that people are actually doing something.